There we go. As you might see in the background here, somewhere, we have lots of bats showing up. Do you want to show up, Bat? So come on out and join us. The we are a colony of bats actually this year for Halloween. Do you want to flap your wings? All right. So we are working the bat energy here. Bats are so cool. Do you want to go get fruit bat? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go get fruit bat. We've also got a fruit bat in the house. My daughter's nickname is Fruit Bat, and so we are working the bat thing here, and in honor of my daughter Carolyn, I originally decided that we should have a class on bats, but she's actually had to go back to school, so she's going to get a private bat workshop. Oh, and this is Fruit Bat. You know, we're all about the bats here. Oh, check out, Melinda's got a bat. So if you've got bat stuffies, bat costumes, this is the time of year. Did you know that this is International Bat Week? This is Bat Week, and so you can learn all sorts of cool stuff about bats online. And this is a really good time to be a bat. And do you like your bat costume? Yeah, and I learned how to use a sewing machine. Totally outside of my skill set, because I needed to make bat wings. And so, all right. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the, do you want your ears while you take the class? Welcome to the International Bat Week edition of the Nature Journal Workshop. I'm going to be jumping over to screen share here. And we're going to learn a little bit about bats and how to draw them. And hold on a second, I need to hide floating meeting controls. There I go. Play. So I first just want to send a mad shout out to our friends at Bat Conservation International. They are an international group that that works on preserving and protecting bats throughout the world. Bats are really amazing critters, and in a lot of places are very endangered, and they're also critical for the functioning of ecosystems. With the COVID epidemic, they've gotten even worse publicity than the pangolin, but the world is such a better and more beautiful place with bats in it. So I want to encourage people to put up bat houses on your buildings, and connect with, if at the end of this workshop you're thinking, I like me some bats, the best way to kind of take the next step is just to hop over to Bat Conservation International, and you'll find lots of things that you can do to help protect and preserve bats, not just locally, but worldwide. This is a very, very good thing. So let's take a little bit of a look at bat anatomy and structure and how to draw them. There we go. So this very, very useful diagram sort of shows you the parts of the bat, so that, oops, wrong one. Okay, let's try this again. Here we go. There's a bat. Everybody, on your piece of paper, you get 30 seconds to sketch this bat. Draw the bat. Draw the bat. Everybody, draw a bat. You've got 10 seconds left. That's a long 10 seconds, isn't it? All right. So that's a lovely little fruit bat there, and the yeah, that's right. So this is you see the similarity here. So when you look at the bat's wing, um, you probably have seen other places that there is this incredible. It's a wonderful way to look at how kind of a simple basic system has been adapted for flight. Now, bats, I believe, are the most amazing flyers in the world. And we'll look at why shortly. So they can do things aerodynamically that are so much more sophisticated than any bird out there. It's gonna blow your mind. Um, so under the hood, this is the bat skeleton. And if you're taking sketch notes as we're talking here, I want you to focus on drawing half the skeleton. Focus on drawing not the top or the bottom, but the right or the left. So the right or the left half. And because then you can always fill in the other half later. And what you see is when you're looking at the bat, you're looking at a little person. So the knees are pointed out and the elbows are down, and there's this huge hand. There's this huge hand. And those finger bones are what is going to support the wing. And let's count the finger bones. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers, just like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, you. So now look back at that sketch of the bat that you found. If you have a little drawing and you're drawing web between 5 fingers, you get a really different wing shape, don't you? So a lot of people know that it's the fingers that are supporting the wing. And because of that, they draw out these 5 lines and then connect them with little curvy lines to build up a bat wing. But it then doesn't look at all like a bat. So what we're going to do is sort of see why the bat looks a little bit different, and then how we can draw that. So if I look at a bat X-ray, and that's fun to do. So here's a bat X-ray. You see the bones there. So there's the shoulder, the elbow up to the wrist, and yep, there's the hand. That little thing sticking off the top is the thumb. So the thumb gets no webbing on it. Now, what we're going to do is going to take the first 2 fingers, your index and your middle finger. The index finger is short, and both of those together make up the front edge of the wing. So these 2 fingers, you're not going to draw webbing between all these. You're going to have the first 2 together, the little shorter one, and then a long middle finger, right? And that is going to be your leading edge of the wing. So then look at the sizes of the space between middle finger and ring, small, between ring and little, medium, and little, and the back leg, big. So baby bear, mama bear, papa bear, we're going to have 3 sections in this wing that are progressively getting larger and attaching to that leg that again is sticking out to the side. All right. Actually, in a little bit, we're going to be seeing that actually the knees point backwards. The knees point backwards, but you can't really see it from a photograph. Now, let's take a look a little bit more at this. So notice that the forearm on the bat here is ridiculously large. All right. So ridiculously large and long forearm. In addition to those really, really long fingers, that elbow is tucked close to the body, but what is making most of that big bat wing is your big forearm. All right? And let's take a look on that back leg there. Check out the back leg. There's a little spur. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toes, but there's a little spur coming off of the ankle of the little bat foot. That's called a calcar, and that is a little bony or cartilaginous spur that connects to the tail membrane, right? So it helps support that tail membrane. You can see the tail coming down just on the side of your screen. So down to the bottom there, so you've got the webbing is going to go between the middle and ring, ring to little, little to foot, foot to tail. And those are your sections of the wing. One last little bit to notice is that in front of the elbow, look right up in there, this is the patagial area of the wing. There is also membrane that goes between the shoulder and the wrist there. So you're not going to see the sharp bend of the elbow in the wing because there's going to be a membrane that stretches between those. Again, as we're going through this, everybody's watching this right now. Ray Banto in London is taking crazy sketch notes. And because he's doing that, he's going to be remembering all these details. At the end of it, he's going to have all these bat reference sheets. So if you're watching this and just kind of going, yep, I'm going to remember that. No. As this is going along, what you want to do is be drawing along with it and take notes. So you too, kiddo, right? We're going to take as many notes as we can. So you're going to end up with this catalog of bat stuff. And that is going to really dramatically help you be able to remember this stuff, right? Here we go. So these little sections, so here we're looking at the sections of wing, and they each have names for people who like names of things. For most of us, that sort of terminology isn't that useful, but sometimes if you do sort of learn names of things, then that sometimes helps you just remember structure. So for people who are into naming things, here's just another view of the wing, this time looking at the membranes that are stretching between them. Bat skin is an incredibly thin membrane. It is thinner. It's about half as thick as the skin that goes over their body. And we're going to learn a little bit more about it because it's got amazing microstructure going on in it. You see a little bit of that right here. So take a look, reorient yourself, sort of figure out where the elbows are on both sides, the wrists are on both sides, and sort of kind of orient yourself to the parts of the anatomy that you know so far. You can see the little calcar coming down on this side here, and a little bit right there. Here, this tail membrane coming down to the middle of the tail. And also on this, we'll be getting more into bat ears in a moment. The ones that you see on top of my head and the ones that Amelia is sporting right here. Oh, Amelia's just discovered out the window, there is hawks that are attacking, crows that are attacking a hawk that is circling the air. That's a really good spot. Do you want to make a little sketch note of the behavior that you see out there? That's cool. Be sure to count how many birds. That's cool. Bats. So my bat ears are actually, there's a major feature that they're missing. And if you look on the, besides being on a bat, if you look on the photograph here, you see there's a large flap of skin that sticks up right here in the middle of the ear. That's the tragus. Now on me, my tragus is this little flap of skin in front of my ear here. We looked around the family and discovered that a few of our family members have big traguses, and that is because of our bat affinity. We just love bats so much. So, but what this is on bats, it would be, the size of almost of my pen sticking up here. And what happens is you've got the ear here like a big radar dish. And if you think of a radar dish, there's the cup, and then there's a little receiver out here. So, beams of come into the dish, and then they bounce to that little receiver. Here, they bounce to that tragus that then helps funnel the sound back down into the ear canal. So you've got a big cup here, but you don't just want to then, if stuff comes into a cup, you don't want it focusing back out into space. You want it to go down. So there's a little deflector that sticks up that takes all this sound that comes down and bounces down. So you're going to see these big spikes sticking up in front of the ears of a lot of bats. That's kind of a very cool batty thing. Let's take a look at a bat in flight. Oh yeah, here comes the bat cam. Oh, amazing. So first time we're watching it here, just think of this in terms of just trying to identify anatomical landmarks. Like, okay, that's the knee, that's the elbow, that's the wrist, right? As it comes down, think of it as a hand sort of moving back, and look at the hand coming down. See that hand with the little thumb leading out there? Isn't that crazy? Let's just see that again because it is so cool. This time, I want you to look at the cupping of the wings. So slicing forward through the air, and on the back stroke, kind of curl fingers and cupping up, and forward stroke, straighter, stiffer wing, right? Loose on that backstroke. Isn't that spectacular? So you want to draw yourself a bat. An amazing way to do that is you can go online and type in slow motion video of bat in flight. That's what I did. That's where this came from. And then you can stop it and pause it and make a bat sketch. I know this doesn't look like a bat because it doesn't look like our idea of how the bat should look. But guess what? It is a bat. So we're going to make just we're going to do some gesture sketches of these bats in flight. And I want you to just pop that in. We're going to just do a quick, we'll make this just a 30 seconds, but this will be a 30 seconds with this bat. It's about to move. Here it goes. All right, 30 seconds with this bat position. Notice that body is kind of hanging down a little bit. Head leaning forward. All right.
I'm really focusing on the wing instead.
Just a quick little sketch of that bat in flight. All right, we're going to move that wing just a little bit more. Now, this time it's crazy because you're actually seeing these wings being forward, and you're seeing part of the top, and the underside, top underside of that close wing. So we're just going to make one last little quick sketch here. Now, when you'd be seeing bats, when they're doing this, first of all, they're at night and then they're moving fast. So would you be able to do this from life in the field? Probably not. Right? But by making a few drawings from very cooperative bats who will be in bright light and hold still for your 30 seconds, you can start to teach yourself a lot more about how to put these little critters together. See this in flight. Just one more time. Here it comes. Look at how those thumbs are also dangling out there. So fruit bats and vampire bats have really big thumbs. Some other bats have smaller thumbs. But on fruit bats that do a lot of manipulating of things with their little hands, and the vampire bat uses them to help them walk around on.
Oh, who would do that?
Oh, you'll see in just a moment. I actually have a video of it.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at one more thing about the bat. And that is that last one was just sort of flying by. When a bat, because the wings are controlled by these fingers, they're able to manipulate the shape of their wing much more dynamically than a bird. So they can take their wing and turn it into a ball. They can do all sorts of crazy stuff. And they do this in flight. They have incredibly sophisticated control over the shape of their wings. So as this vampire bat flies up, I want you to look at the degree to which its wings are not just coming together, but what is happening with the shape of its wings as it kind of comes forward and turns it inside out. I mean, look at that. That's crazy, right? We'll pause this guy in just a moment, but look at how much those are just coming together on those downstrokes.
I thought he's going to stand on the thing.
Bye, bat. All right, we're going to see, we're going to pause. Oh, no, not you. So what I want to do is I'm going to pause the bat. Let's do this pose. All right. So you're going to have one wing that is out foreshortened towards you. The other one where you're sort of seeing a lot more of the top of the wing. Let's give this pose 30 seconds. Go.
You're going to do it too, right?
I can't do this one because I have to keep my hand on the screen here. This is just sort of warming up with some crazy bat wing poses. Now, let's try this. All right. My challenge for you on this is just notice that the wing on the right-hand side appears smaller than the wing on the left-hand side, just because of the angle that the wing is being held. And notice that it doesn't look like our mental model of the way that a bat wing should look. It's not like this neat diagram picture. You're seeing part of it flipping over. Let's just do one more. Ah, that's what I want. Look at that. All right, on the back stroke here, wrist is up, and you've got the front edge of that close wing, the bottom edge of it, coming towards you, flipping around. That's some crazy bat position. Actually, maybe this isn't the vampire bat. I'll have to check the reference. But all these, I just went to YouTube and did a search for slow motion pictures of bats in flight. All this stuff comes up, and it's really fun. You can watch videos of fishing bats and all sorts of things, sort of endless hours of entertainment watching bats online. See this thing take off. Oh, no, that's not a, I don't think that is a vampire bat. Okay. Now, let's take these wings and take a nap. So here is the classic bat sleeping pose. Anytime somebody in movies draws a bat or sort of a cartoon vampire sleeping from the ceiling, the wings are wrapped around them in what Mark Simmons famously called the sort of doing the Run DMC pose, right? So they're kind of the hands are wrapped over and around their body, and you can see those fingers in there. So this is how fruit bats sleep. But most of the bats do not sleep this way. But this is a very fruit bat thing, kind of taking your little arms and wrapping them around you. Make a little sketch of this. Make just kind of a quick little gesture sketch here, and put in a suggestion of the of those fingers across it. You can see those knuckles making big balls on the surface of the wing there. Now, so this is kind of interesting because, you know, all the bats in the movies, or every cartoon bat, you see them sleeping this way. If you see a cartoon bat sleeping this way, that means it's a fruit bat. So, and when you see sort of images of, you know, the vampire upside down with the cape wrapped around it, that means that instead of turning into a vampire bat, that vampire is going to turn into a fruit bat, which is really kind of cute. And they're going to go out and they're going to get some mangoes or something that night. So this pose that you're looking at is not a generic bat pose. This is a fruit bat thing. And when you find, for most of us, for people in North America here, we're looking for bats. We're not going to be finding a fruit bat. We're going to be finding other types of bats. And when you see them, they'll be in a pose like this. The wings are not wrapped around them, and they can be on a surface vertically, but just sort of clinging to it, with their wings tucked up by their sides. And this pose gets very, very confusing for people. So we're going to sort of dissect this pose without hurting any bats. So let's first take a look at the back leg and see what's going on. So here is its knee down to its ankle. You see the calcar here along the back edge of the tail membrane. So this is a free-tailed bat here. So this one, the tail goes wee out beyond that. Other bats, the tail doesn't come, may not come all the way to the edge here, and other bats may not have a tail at all. But so if you're seeing a bunch of tail sticking out beyond the membrane, that gives me a lot of specific information about this bat. This little bump right you see right here is its elbow. Its shoulder is up in here, so shoulder, elbow, wrist. This is its wrist. Yep, Amelia's just pointed out there's its thumb sticking out from the wrist, so that's where the thumb is up here. But what happened to all the fingers? So when you look at bats in this pose, you just see this big rod sticking out here. What happened to, well, here is the diagram that tells all. Look at this. So here is, we're going to have a shoulder, here's an elbow, here's the wrist. So you'll see this bat's kind of, what's coming forward, there's their thumb sticking out there. Here's the underside of it. But look at this. This is zooming in on this part right over here. The fingers come down, and then the fingers curl in towards the body. And so the fingers are not sticking out down here. The fingers are tucking in towards the body and wrapping around by the legs. So the fingers are coming in here and doing a little, just kind of a little hook like this. The fingers come down and they curl like that. So the bat is resting with its little hands with the fingers curled. So this, looking at it from the top, you're seeing wrist, elbow, the fingers are coming down here, and then they're curling in towards the body underneath this flap of wing skin. Let's take another look at that bat here starting to take off. And in this video, watch the wing on the right, which would actually be its left wing, but here from your viewing angle, the wing on the right, really carefully, because you're going to see it uncurl its fingers, right? So right now, this bat's fingers are curled in towards its body here out of your view. And as this bat starts to move, you're going to see those fingers pop out. This is amazing. So it's starting to open its wings here. And watch that wing on the right. Here they come. Elbow, wrist. Here it comes, here it comes. Oh, 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 oh. See? See? Those are the fingers curled down and under there. Oh, that's cool. Boom. And this is how I fly. Oh, yeah.
Looks like a rhino.
Oh, that is so cool. That is ridiculous. Let's just see that again. Let's just see that finger uncurling. Oh, let's back it up, back it up, back it up. No, even back, further back. There we are. Watch those fingers come out. Here they come. Those fingers extending. That's what's going on under the hood. Isn't that cool? Yeah, that's some cool batness. That's some cool batness. Now, a little bit more about the wing. So that's what's going on with the structure of the wing. Now let's get into some wing texture. When you look at the texture of the wing, there's this sort of net-like appearance. You'll see strands running one way and strands running across and up and down on the wing. There's two types of fibers that are going on in here. And the first is that there are elastic fibers called elastin, fibers of elastin, that go crosswise on the wing. And those have been surgically removed in this picture down here. And you notice that all those cool wrinkles in the bat skin have disappeared. So these act very much the same way elastic on a piece of clothing or underwear that gathers your the fabric together. They're going to keep tension in the wing, but they're able to stretch and move. But when they're come back to being relaxed, then you get these cool wrinkles appearing in the fabric of the wing. And so over here on the left side, you see a diagram where they have, this is all the elastin fibers in the wing. And look at, they kind of look like a spider web effect here. So they're coming across like this, coming across like this, getting a little bit netty in here, coming across like this. That's the elastin. But there's also fibers, if you look here in the wing going this way, do you see those vertical fibers? Right. Kind of gives this grid texture. I tried to practice pronouncing this word and failed. But I'll try here. Platiopatagales? I don't know. We'll have to ask some bat people. But what these are the ones, so the elastin fibers go this way. The ones that go this direction are the platioplastigales, right? And those are micro thin muscles that run through the wing, especially the part of the wing between the last finger and the ankle, right? So in this zone in here, you'll see a lot of these vertical fibers. And so there's this network, there's this grid on the wing. And so here you see those vertical fibers. If you look gray, that's the elastin, right? And then these colored other fibers here, those are these micro thin muscles that run through the wing. And what they do is spectacular. So not only can the bat, by moving its fingers, change the wing into any little shape it wants, because it has these elastic things kind of keeping it taut, and then it has muscles running across those, it can flex those muscles and turn this part of the wing into a much more stiff sheet. So on the downstroke for power, this part, boom, becomes much harder and strong. But the net effect is that you get this net-like appearance in the surface of the wing. And that's what gives the wing its texture. So you've got the elastin and these other crazy things that start with the letter P going in the opposite direction. Found this picture online. Your challenge is, what's wrong with this picture? What do you think? What's wrong with this picture? Did you spot the goof? All right. This bat at rest isn't going to be dragging its fingers behind it. These fingers are going to be tucked up and curled up like this. So here's our little vampire bat, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers coming back down here, but we don't see those fingers sticking out behind because the fingers have curled up like that. It's doing this, and then it is walking on its wrists, not on its hands. It's on its wrists with the little thumb pointed out. And the bat who's actually the best at this, who does a lot of like running around on the ground, is the vampire bat. So check this out. Oh, actually, this was first, before we get to that video. So take a look at this. Notice that this part in here, you sort of see this because of the elastin and the muscles that start with the letter P. We're getting this really cool micro texture right up into here, right? Here is the knee. Here is the elbow. Here's the wrist. And you see those fingers coming back down like that. All right. So this is the pose. I'm going to leave this. Let's take this one. Hey, thanks for joining me, Mia. Let's leave this one up here for about 2 minutes. And what I'd like you to do is to make a sketch of this little bat. Right? So start with a loose gesture sketch. And now that you know a little bit more about it, we are going to, we'll draw this little bat. I'm going to give you, actually, let me just, for a moment, pop over to my document camera, and I will show you how I might approach sketching this. And then we'll so I'm going to take it off of the main screen for just a moment. And I'm going to switch over to my document camera, and I will make a little sketch of that bat. All right, so this is how I am starting my bat. All right. So I've got a little ball of its body, a little ball of its head. I often like to kind of keep track of the center lines of things, so I'm going to just draw a little kind of center line going down its body and its head. Front of its face, I'm going to think of that as a little cone. And if this is the line of its nose, the ears are going to be coming across here. I'm going to have one ear pointing towards me in this direction here. And then I have this big forearm that is coming down like that. So I'm going to have a big forearm that comes down, and on the back edge here of the leading edge of that, there's going to be a wedge of little bat skin. And I'm going to put a little bit of cross hatching into that, just suggesting a little bit of that bat wing texture. The bat then it's out here to its wrist. And you have the fingers tucking in here, down like that, with a little finger. Its knee sticks up back here. And to make this a little bit more clear, rather than having the knee come down and kind of hiding behind part of the elbow, I'm just going to rock the leg out here just a little bit so that you can see that is this other bone kind of coming down. And then it's going to have its little bat foot. In this place, there's going to be, again, 5 toes on that little bat foot. Fruit bats have big eyes. This bat has smaller eyes. And I've read some places that actually their vision is not as bad as everybody says. It's going to have one ear that is pointing towards you, and the other ear we're seeing sort of in a side view here. And then to make this look fuzzy, I'm just going to put in a few little kind of tick marks along there. Its other, in the photograph, you can't really see much of the other arm, but it's going to be back in there. Again, on a little slope like this, I would just sort of draw a line across here and just make it a little bit fuzzy. But I want to think of like, what am I seeing? We're going to have a tail. It's going to be in this area. And then there's this big patch right in here of wing material.
And in that, I'm going to really sort of show again that cross hatching, suggesting the elastin and the little muscles that are kind of crossing over each other.
Right. Let's go back to the bat itself, and we'll all draw bats together because we can. Play. But let's just take a couple of minutes and play with this bat.
We'll do some stuff on ears and little bat faces soon.
You may notice that the bat feels a little bit broad across the shoulders. Bats have very developed upper bodies and incredibly unmuscled back legs. So it's like if every time they're flying, they're just working their pectoral muscles. So it looks like they just spent a ton of time at the gym. So their upper body is just massively built out, but they skipped leg day.
Jack, I just want to say a couple things to folks that are on computers to help them view your sketch and the picture. If you're on a computer, you can go, if you're not already on side-by-side mode, you go to the top of the screen under View Options, and you can select side-by-side mode. When you do that, you'll see both the bat picture and Jack's sketch on the screen. And if you mouse over the two fine lines that are between both of those pictures, you can slide that bar back and forth and enlarge one or the other. And for those of you on iPads and phones, you'll just need to tap your screen to go back and forth. Yeah. Thanks.
I'd say mostly kind of ignore me drawing right now. If there's a chance for you to draw for a little bit, this bat will be moving on in just a moment, but we want to kind of give ourselves an opportunity to start to draw bats. And critically here, just as you're doing that, you're now understanding what you're seeing. Instead of like this bat looks all messed up. You can't even see its wing. But once you know, like, this is like the go-to bat pose. This is what bats do. Then you'll see a bat in this position. You'll be in your happy place. Like, I know what's happening here. This bat's about to wander off. Oh, this is going to be fun. All right, I found this little video online for you folks. This is a vampire bat walking. And as you look at this, think about something kind of moving along on its wrists, and notice the degree to which its back legs, the knee points up. The knee points up. So you're looking at the top. As you look at the back of the bat, you're looking at the top of the foot. In one of the Star Wars movies, the heroes end up in a giant arena fighting all sorts of monsters. And the locomotion of one of those, I think, is inspired by what you're seeing here with the bat. So Lucas and other sort of people will often kind of get some inspiration for their monsters by looking at nature. Look at the back limb. You see the back limb is moving. Think of that as just backwards facing knees. Knees point up. Then can you see the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist? That little tuft that you see hanging down in the armpit of that bottom bat, those are the fingers curled around. So, so see that stuff hanging down underneath the armpit, and that is the fingers that are going up here, and then they are curling back down underneath the armpit of the bat. And also just look at how big the upper body is. Big upper body. And huge broad shoulders. And again, skipped leg day. One more bat for us to draw. Before you do, though, just take a moment and notice for yourself, if you can kind of follow around and understand the anatomy of what you're seeing. This one, it looks like we actually have some wingtips sticking out the back here, instead of being curled around under the leg like they were in the last one. We actually have some wingtips sticking out there. So let's just we're going to take a couple of minutes and draw this back. Big upper body tapering to the back. Back leg, knee pointing up. Let's take about one more minute with this bat. You don't need to finish the drawing. Let's see if you can get some basics of the anatomy, the structure that you now understand on your paper. And it's going to be gone in about 15 seconds. Again, we're not don't need to finish any of these drawings. They're just chances for us to try to get ourselves a little bit more familiar with the basic structure that we're seeing. I want to take a moment to just notice a few other details, and then we're going to get about bats. This diagram I like over here. It just shows you a lot of variations on what can happen with the tail. You know, this bottom one here is sort of a fruit bat strategy. There's no tail, big kind of pantaloon look. So you've got that calcar. Again, the calcar is that spike that sticks off. That supports a little bit of a flange there, but no real obvious tail. Others get more of a tail, and then you can get a tail membrane. You can also get a tail that you can have a tail that sticks out beyond it, or you can have a tail that only goes up to the edge of that membrane. So different species of bats, you'll have different tail shapes, and that ends up being a really important characteristic to look at. Also, another thing you'll notice on some bats, the upper part of the tail will be of the membrane on the back here will be covered with hair, and on others it will be all skin. So this back end of the bat ends up being a great place to look at. Also, I probably should have mentioned this when we were talking about calcars. Sometimes you will see there will be a little flange. If you look for my kind of arrow on the board, see where the calcar is. Some bats will have a flange of material that sticks out on the outer side of the calcar. And on other bats, the calcar will just be bare and supporting the tail. So sometimes you'll see a little bit of a membrane sticking out on the front edge of the calcar. So if you're looking at a bat that you've found, that is a really good place to look at for an important characteristic. So us nature journalists just want to be aware that this back booty end of the bat is a really good place to look at for identification characteristics. Similarly, up on the head end, and in just a moment we'll kind of go into the head of the bat, whether there is a tragus and how big that is and what shape it is, that's going to be really important. So how high that sticks up, that's another place where you really want to just pay some attention to the shape of the ear of the bat and whether it has that little projection that sticks up. The other thing that's going to be weird on bats is their nose shape. Bats that, fruit bats just have a cute little, like a doggy muzzle. Others have some little tube noses. The more bats that echolocate by chirping out of their mouth will have more simple nose shapes. But some bats will project sound out of, oh yes, their nose.
And on those ones, you just start to get crazy little nose shapes with all sorts of neat things going on. So here's a little collection of bats. You can see fruit bat on the right, just kind of going like, hey, here's your basic bat shape. And then you notice other bats, and also no real tragus obvious and in your face here. Little one in here, big one in here, medium-sized one here. Here is a funky face. Here's a funky face, and here's a crazy funky face for projecting sound out of the nose. So if you echolocate through your nose and then hear it in your ears, you're going to have a setup like this. Here's a bunch more bat faces. You notice on a lot of these species, you're seeing these cool leaf shape apparatus sticking up. On these little fruit bats down here, more of a little dog face. Fruit bats, big eyes and a more simple nose. These echolocating bats, often littler eyes, and then you'll see neat nose shapes. I love these little leaf-nosed bat shapes here. This is ridiculous down here. That's the horseshoe bat. Kind of looks like somebody kind of crossed a hairless chihuahua with a pig with, I don't know. But bat biodiversity is impressive. So here's what you get to do now. Actually, I'm going to do a little, do a quick time check. What time is it, Melinda?
It is 1:09.
1:09. All right. Here are just some close-ups of bat noses and bat faces. We're going to give you a little suggestion for drawing these sort of complex shapes. Notice that some places in them you're seeing edges very clearly, like, you know, right in here along the edge of this, along the edge of this. So where you have edges, you're putting in lines. But other places, you're seeing these wrinkles and lumps. And how do you handle this sort of stuff? All right. If you're able to see my journal page down below here, and I'll zoom in on it just to make it a little bit larger. I am drawing a little outside edge of a bat ear, and I'm just going to show you a few ideas and strategies that you might use in order to be able to get this down. Some places I see edges, and then those edges drift off. So if you were here for the snake drawing workshop, it's that same idea that there's kind of the clear edge, and then as it starts to kind of round out, that is going to peter away. So I'm using that same trick that we're looking at in last week's class right there. And now you've got all these other kind of bumps and marks and ripples. One way to handle that is with a little bit of white pencil. White pencil and watercolor. You can either put down some watercolor over this and then drop in a few highlights on this, and it'll start to kind of form out the texture of this ear. Or you can also sometimes put in the pencil first, and then it acts as a little bit of a resist. So I'm going to put in a little bit of resist here, a little bit of waxy white pencil on this outer edge of the ear. And I'm going to give it a few little white lines
in here. And then if I paint over that, please work demonstration. Oh, it's not popping up as brightly as I wanted it to. All right, we're going to then go to plan B. So I'm getting a little bit of that showing up and just painting over this whole surface. It's ending up a little bit not as in your face as I wanted it to be. So here I've just put in some dark into the ear here. And then I'm going to let that dry. To speed up the drying process, if you listen in the background here, in just a moment, you'll hear a little hair dryer going. It's just me making this dry so we can finish this demonstration quickly. There's the ear again. And you see a little bit of the those white edges there. They've got paint on top of them. Sometimes you can lighten them up a little bit by just lifting off some of the paint that is on top there. So I'm getting some of those white edges back. So by having some sharp contrasting whites next to darks on this makes the ear itself sort of feel a little bit more plasticky, and not so much of a furry texture. There we go. Those little highlights do a lot to sort of carve the these ridges in there. So for those ridges, I might suggest you kind of look around, and on these photographs, you can sort of see them as you see those little highlights in places on those edges. Suggest those with highlights instead of putting them in with a black line with your pencil. Look at that ridiculous tragus. That is so much fun. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful animals. So bats are important for healthy functioning ecosystems. Bats have beautiful place. Oh my gosh, I got through this entire workshop and I never pulled out my, this is what I was, oh, I forgot that I had everybody print these out and make them. So sorry about that, everybody. If you go to my website, you will see that I have a download where you can print out this little bat. And let me turn this over so that it is.
It's also in the chat too, if you want to click it now.
So, so this is going to be part of our homework for thinking about kind of drawing bats in flight and foreshortening them. One way to do that is with a photograph of the bat. The other is that you take and sort of curve the hand part of this bat in. And again, this is a download from johnmuirlaws.com, a free download. And hold the bat in a position and sketch what you see with those shapes. And then you can change its position and draw the bat in that new position. And then you can change it again and rotate it around. This is going to be a wonderful way of just familiarizing yourself with the angles and foreshortenings of what's going to be happening with bat wings in flight. And also, it'll help you just develop a more intuitive sense for those shapes that you're seeing. Then, when you're out at night and you see a bat flapping across the sky, you're able to get a shape down in your journal that is from kind of a better, you've got a better intuition for the forms that you're seeing as things are moving around. Again, the bat's going to be flapping its wings so fast that you're not going to be able to sort of freeze it in one place. But having this as your mental model of what you're seeing is going to be really useful to you. So your homework. Your homework for today is to your homework is to go online and find some photographs of bats that you think are cool, and look at those from initially a point of view of understanding their anatomy. How these bats, like, what are you looking at? Then you can start to work on, drawings of textures of ears and other sorts of things. But initially you want to just be focusing on, I want to understand the structure and what I'm looking at. So your bat drawings, you're not just having to copy this weird lump and it's wrinkly over there, but you really are fundamentally, you get what you are seeing happening there. Then try some close-ups of funky bat faces. Funky bat faces. And there you can play with, that's a wonderful sort of studio for playing with, if you want to work on just sort of some subtleties of shading to show textures and the contours of a bat's face, of a bat's ears. It's a wonderful study for kind of working on shading and shades and shadows. Then
find some photographs online or some videos that you can freeze frame of bats flying around, and cut out your own little bat and see if you can start to understand the shape and geometry of those wings in flight. Again, this little guy is a free download for you. And when you're done, if you make several of these, you can make a bat mobile in time for Halloween. And that's fun too. I hope that this workshop was of use to you in understanding and appreciating bats just a little bit more. They're absolutely fascinating, beautiful critters, and their survival is, they need our help. That's why I really want to point people again towards Bat Conservation International as an organization that can help you understand what can be done in bat conservation across the planet, and also what you can do locally to help with bat populations. That's a very powerful and important thing to do. I hope you got some good tips out here, and I really hope that when you look at a bat, you will see it in a different way. Let's just do a little bit of sharing. I saw. I'm just now kind of backing up and looking at the chat, and somebody was asking, like, what's up with the ears? Yes, my two daughters wanted. If you weren't here at the start, my two daughters decided they wanted to be bats for Halloween, and they're crazy into bats, and so I figured out how to make bat costumes. So these are bat ears. They both have sets of bat ears and bat wings. I had to figure out how to use a sewing machine, and my sewing is not very straight, but it's going to be strong. I like triple, quadruple stitch that, because they've now been running around the house in the backyard in their bat costumes, and they're just taking a beating, but they're holding up to it, which is really fun.